Hey, yo, what's up, guys? These are my impressions slash review of the Black Ops 6 multiplayer beta as someone who hasn't played a multiplayer since about Black Ops 4. So let's get straight into this. So let's start off with the positives. The gameplay itself, the moment-to-moment gunplay feels great. Gun sounds feel responsive. The guns, how they fire, feels fantastic. SMGs feel very light and easy to use. ARs really seem like they can kind of reach out and poke someone. Granted, there are some balancing issues, but we'll get to that here in a second. Snipers actually feel, though slow, they actually hit pretty hard from what I'm seeing. And if you're really good, and assuming there's like that one attachment that's like the quick scoping attachment, I assume you can do that in this game as well. Shotguns, if you're at that close range, you're gonna one-shot consistently. Just make sure you aim down sights because that hip fire, kind of wacky at times, I'll say. Secondary is honestly surprisingly powerful. The tacticals and lethals are all pretty good, although I will say stim shots are just flat out better. And if you want to play any sort of aggressive playstyle, you need stim shots. The way the animations look, the mastercrafts, the camos, they all look absolutely insane, and I'm looking forward to what they come up with here in the future. Next up on the list, as you actually just saw in the gameplay right before, we're able to switch out our attachments and kind of play with our classes in the middle of the game. This is such a great feeling. You know how maybe sometimes you want to try, maybe I want to switch out the sight that I'm using for like something that will make my gun a little bit better, maybe like an extended mag or whatever, and you're like, oh no, I just suck without the sight and I need to hit any of my shots. Well, you can go ahead and change it instead of being forced to use a different class that maybe you didn't want to use because maybe you were trying to camo grind that gun, maybe you were trying to get the attachments for that gun. Great change, I love it. Next up, Omni Movement. Omni Movement feels incredible. For those who have been playing the more modern Call of Duty games, they have been getting used to this just insane kind of movement tech, and this game turns it up to 11 from what I've been seeing of the YouTubers that I've played a lot more. They're able to do these insane maneuvers while slide canceling around. They're able to really take advantage of sprinting in every single direction and take their gameplay from 10 up to a 12. Even the very casual player or people who haven't played in years like myself, the ability to sprint in any singular direction or just slide in any direction, let alone diving and everything else, really adds to how fluid the gameplay is, and it makes it feel like this is something that Call of Duty should have been doing from the get-go like 10 years ago. This is something that would have been loved in every single game, I think. Now, this does have a major side effect that I will get into, especially for you multiplayer fans, but for zombie fans, this is nothing but a massive W for us. This is everything, honestly, I could have wanted out of this system. On mouse and keyboard, it is a tad bit clunky. I'm definitely gonna have to play around with the settings a bit to fine tune it, but apparently from what I hear on controller, it's amazing and there are no issues with it. So hallelujah for that, it looks amazing. Next up, maps. Every single map that I have tried so far feels really good. They went back to the classic 3-lane system, and it definitely shows. Maps flow a lot better. Just ignore the spawns for a moment. That is going to be a negative. The spawns, we'll talk about that in a second. But the maps themselves, they are good. There are high points, there are low points. There are 3 lanes usually, and they all sort of connect in these nice kind of middle lanes. And what is it? On the one mansion map, I think it's called Skyline, has a really interesting kind of underground section, which you can access from like a bookshelf, or some really nice flank routes to get into the enemy spawn, or to get just into their backline in general. I am a bit peeved that they've only shown 3 maps so far, even though we were promised, I believe it was 9 or 8 for the beta. I understand they're rotating them weekly, but me and my friend were already kind of getting bored of just having 3 maps after like 3-4 hour play sessions. It was kind of annoying, but I can stand beside that for at least the next few days. But still, the maps overall, they look really good. I don't think any of these are remakes. Please correct me in the comments section if I'm wrong, but hey, I got nothing bad to say. Good job. Next up on the list, combat specialties. These are interesting, and I hope they expand upon these, but so far, this just very basic layout, I do think is a good start. Obviously, I hope they have more, and it's more perk combinations than just 3 of the exact same perk category. If that is how it is, that's kind of disappointing, but still, I think this is a cool system and something to spice up the gameplay. Of course, this is kind of thrown off balance by the fact that perk greed is in the game, but hey, overall, it's still pretty good. Now, before we go on to the negatives, I want to go over kind of like a neutral section. So first off, I'm going to go over some of the balancing issues, just some of them, not all of them. But number one, the score streak values, honestly, in my opinion, it's just the Hellstorm. That's it. This needs to be like, I don't know, 900, maybe like 950 at the most. But there's no reason this Hellstorm is better than this Watchdog Helo. Just absolutely not. But in my opinion, the Hellstorm needs to go down at least 300 at the bare minimum. I'd be fine with it being like 850 or something like that. Another thing that's kind of in that neutral section for me is eliminations to deaths, or an assisted elimination counts the exact same way that you killing an enemy does. I don't think that's a good idea, because yes, it does help you get streaks faster. It also helps the enemies get streaks faster. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'm not too sure. That's why it's in the neutral section. But I think personally, if you brought back 75% assist, 50% assist, that would be a nice in between. Because I get it, you want to reward players for being a part of a kill, but at the same time, you didn't get that kill. That's not your thing. So I don't think you should be getting credit in the same way that the person who actually got the kill did. I don't even want to go fully over this, so all I'm going to say is that aim assist was changed in this game. To put it into the most kind of limited thing I can say, rotational aim assist is basically gone in extremely CQB environments, like basically 2 meters, you will have exactly 0 aim assist. So if you're a controller player and you're in those really close environments, which happens a lot in Black Ops 6, you're gonna need to get your shot on point. Now, of course, at longer ranges, medium ranges, it doesn't do anything. You're still gonna have insane accuracy. I think the range is 7 meters outward, or maybe 8 meters outward. Like, you're gonna beam people. So is this a nice little happy median? Potentially. Controller players, you let me know. And this is the least in depth I will go. I'll have a video in the description talking about the aim assist situation more in depth. And with that out of the way, let's get into the negative section. So let's go over this big thing real quick. Skill-based matchmaking. I didn't think it was as bad as it was, but no, it genuinely is pretty bad. The fact I'm having to lock the fuck in for a Call of Duty game, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm like the best gamer ever. I don't think skill-based matchmaking belongs in a game like Call of Duty. It just doesn't make sense to me. And pretty much the entire internet, I think at this point, kind of backs me up on the whole point of skill-based matchmaking. It's kind of dumb for Call of Duty, and it definitely doesn't make sense. The way that I would describe it is it's the same level of volatility as something like Overwatch 1, like ranked placements, where you go insanely hard on like 1 or 2 games, and then you're thrown into like the top 5 to 1% of skill brackets immediately when you were in like the average player population before. It's very jarring, and I definitely am not a fan of it. And even though this is a small sample size, it seems like for the most part, people in my community agree with this take. Now, obviously, if I had a bigger sample size, the feeling would be different. But the fact that everyone says that the skill-based matchmaking is either the same or slightly higher, which is what the some bullshit option kind of implies, definitely not what I'd like to see. But hey, if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comment section below. The second biggest thing by far is the constant packet burst issues. I don't know what is going on with the servers. I've heard it was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad. Again, just like skill-based matchmaking. It's constant packet burst, packet burst, packet burst, packet loss. Every like 10 to 15 seconds, it almost feels like it happens every single gunfight. And the worst part is, I can't tell if that's the reason why it feels like my shot's off half the time, or if it's me. I don't like to have this idea in my head that, oh, any gunfight I can just lose because of packet burst or packet loss. That's not something I like to do, and I don't like complaining about that. If I'm bad, I'm just bad at the game. But from what everyone has said online and in other discussion videos, I can only assume that sometimes it really is packet loss screwing me over. And if this is happening in a beta, I can only imagine what it's gonna be like when the main game comes out. Because don't kid yourself, this has apparently been going on for forever, since like at least Modern Modern Warfare 2019 from what I understand. They just need to improve the servers in some way. Are they going to do it? Probably not. So you might as well just mark this down as a negative for the game entirely. Hopefully this doesn't affect zombies at all, because if it does, we're going to have a major issue. Another big thing, weapon balancing. There's definitely some issues with weapon balancing. Like, for example, I said earlier in the video, it feels like ARs can really reach out and touch people, but this gun right here, this Scourge, this Jackal, I don't know what its thing is, but it outranges ARs. It really does. Especially if you're on controller, go for headshots. You will 4-shot headshot people out from like 10, 20, 30 meters, it feels like, and you'll outgun an XM or an AK. Next up, frag grenades, Simtex grenades, or just explosions in general. They have way too much screen shake. And I'm not talking like, oh, you got hit and the screen shakes. No, I'm talking about explosions that don't hit you at all. On mouse and keyboard, your aim just completely gets thrown off. It's the difference between you winning your gunfight and just missing all of your shots. It's that level of like visual screen shake. It's not fun. And it'd be fine if it was just your screen, but it's also your reticle when you're aiming down sights. It makes it really difficult to kind of keep on target, and honestly, it kind of hurts my eyes a little bit. I don't get motion sickness in games, but it's kind of those moments where I get that rapid shaking where I definitely feel a headache coming on. And probably the biggest thing that we've had to deal with when it comes to this beta is how unfriendly COD HQ in the beta experience has been. I'll show you on screen. During me recording this video, it's currently 2:33 p.m. My friend kept asking me how to fix the COD HQ app because it kept crashing every time he was looking for an update. I told him to maybe try and task manager Steam to try and fix it, but he's been having this issue for literally the past day, and it still is not able to be fixed. There's been multiple problems with COD HQ. Even I really didn't have any problems, but I still had to go into COD HQ, get an update, close out COD HQ, go back into COD HQ, get the update for Black Ops 6, task manager kill Steam, relog back in, get the other update for Black Ops 6, log into Black Ops 6, get the update inside of Black Ops 6, and then finally go back through COD HQ into Black Ops 6, and then I can play the game. I don't know why there's such an intrusive barrier to entry. I'm not sure if it's COD HQ. I'm not sure if it's through Steam. Maybe if I was playing on Battle.net, it would be different, but this shouldn't be a problem. What are we doing here, guys? There's gotta be a way we can expedite this process, but we're not doing it. And also extremely confusing, to say the least. And at this last little section, I'll get into some nitpicks that I'm not the biggest fan of. Spawns in the beta are really, really bad. However, I have heard that has been just a trend with pretty much every single beta that's ever happened in Call of Duty, and it's usually fixed pretty quickly. So I'm only going to put it in the nitpick section. For some reason on PC, the default binding for push to talk is on Z for some reason. Yeah, good luck pressing that without accidentally fat fingering Alt or your spacebar or some other key you might be using. Footstep audio seems to also have been greatly reduced for some reason. I know Ghost is in the game, but even with people that don't have Ghost, it's really difficult for me to hear footsteps at all. And when I do, it's kind of hard to differentiate if they're above me, behind me, or to the sides of me. I really don't like the fact you have to go through this emote screen to inspect your weapon. I would just rather press a single button and then inspect my weapon, because honestly, I'm never going to do these emotes ever. If there's a way to turn it off, I will turn it off, I promise. I'm really not a fan of there being attachments up to like level 40. I think 41 was the highest I saw, meaning that those extremely high weapon levels are back. I'm not a fan of that. There's no reason to have an extended mag 1 and 2 and a fast mags 1 and 2. Just combine them. No one cares that much. You're just stretching out and drip feeding these upgrades for no reason. And I don't think a single person would care if there's only like 2 types of grips, 1 extended mag, 1 fast mag, and maybe like 2 or 3 different types of sights. I think it was 12 or 14 I saw just in the SMG section alone. It's dumb and it bloats the entire menu for no reason. Also, leveling itself seems to be quite a bit slower. Even though we're on double XP, maybe because it's been so long, my leveling scale has been thrown off, but it really seems like it's slowed down in not the best way. So upping that, I think, would be for the best. Also, another little nitpick, Omni movement on PC, if you're not using any like hybrid settings or whatever, it's kind of clunky. I don't think that controller has that problem, but at least on mouse and keyboard, that is a fairly nitpicky issue, but still, you can get used to it pretty quickly. And if I were to give this kind of an overall score for a beta, beta, not including the SPMM, which has definitely lowered my match quality, I'm gonna probably give this beta a 7. I've actually had to gone back and I've had to change it in post because I have noticed like a few extra flaws here and there with the multiplayer, and I kind of realized why I stopped playing it a little bit. Just being brutally honest here whenever I scored for you, because I'm not trying to bullshit this. And I think a lot of the additions that have been put into multiplayer are going to work really well in zombies. But if I were to include the SBMM matchmaking and kind of include my overall experiences with it, that might go down to a 5, maybe even a 4.5 for me. TLDR, if you like fun Call of Duty games, pick this up. But if you are like high MMR or you're in a high skill ceiling and you want a less sweaty Call of Duty game, I don't think this is it. I'm not gonna lie. There are definitely still problems with the game being way too competitive for what it is. Not every single game is a tournament. That's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure y'all like, sub, become a member. Zombies video, thankfully, is gonna be the next because I don't think I'm gonna do a week 2 and week 3 kind of beta review. I think that's kind of dumb because there's not really much that's gonna be added except for, I think, increasing the level cap. I'll keep playing and I'll post in my community tab if I ever have to like change my score for whatever reason. So yeah, guys, see you later.